I voted for Trump twice. I was proud to serve America in his administration. But if you look at that, he never talks about the American people. He never talks about what we're going to do to get this wasteful spending out of the way and get our economy back on track. He never talks about securing the border unless he's saying stop it because I don't want it to happen until the election. I mean, he never talks about law and order in this country. He doesn't talk about these wars. And honestly, with Biden and Trump, they care more about their investigations and themselves than they do about what we need to do in the country. And that's every reason why we need to go in a new direction.
Shut up, silly woman.
All right, folks. So neocon Nimrata Nikki went on the Breakfast Club this week. And that's interesting because as you guys know, one of my biggest criticisms of her has been that she never takes hard interviews, right? She'll do the 10-minute scripted TV hit where they don't have the time to really push back on her. But I've pointed out she rarely does the long-form podcast where the host can actually sit down in a free-flowing conversation and push back on some of the hard questions that Nikki Haley refuses to address. So you may look at this and say, well, Vince, you know, Breakfast Club is sort of that type of show. Isn't that what you've been calling for? To which I say no, actually, because when I was calling for that, I didn't mean to go on a leftist podcast, right? As a matter of fact, many leftists hold a more favorable view towards her than most Republicans for reasons I think we can all assume. My challenge to her has been, notice how she'll do a show like Breakfast Club, but she won't go on, say, Tim Pool even, or PBD, or much less Tucker Carlson, because she cannot actually take the hard questions from the conservatives, right? I've wanted a conservative to ask her why she wants to have a government database of ID of everyone who uses social media. I've wanted a conservative to push back on her in terms of her long history of corruption with the defense industry and how that correlates to her being such a warmonger and the internalized feminism of her campaign and all that stuff, but instead she dodges that to instead do an interview with radical black power leftists who give her a softball interview. That's very telling, right? But with that said, folks, I want to react to some of this today. Now, as usual, guys, you know, BET or whoever owns the Breakfast Club is very strict about copyright, so we're going to have to do a lot of pausing. We're going to cut this up a little bit, but I just wanted to react to some of the, I won't call them best moments, I'll call them the worst moments of the Nikki Haley interview, and we'll do this. So with that said, folks, let's get into some of this.
Welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
How are you?
All is good. I can't complain. Listen, South Carolina's still proud of you. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you very much.
So notice right off the gate, she is immediately sucking up to Charlamagne the Clown, right? And I get it. Maybe she's just playing politics. You're trying to be courteous or whatever. But notice she says, South Carolina is proud of you. Really? They're proud of Charlamagne and all his... Okay, fine. All right, let's get into this.
Then you talk about Donald Trump attacking you the way that he's attacking you. I mean, they dive into your personal life. They dive into an alleged affair. They dive into anything that you've ever done or allegedly have ever done into your life.
I mean, it's all lies. But what they don't realize is politics is the art of distraction. The more they do that, the more motivated I get. Because it's everything that's wrong with politics. It's everything.
Oh, really? Lying is everything that's wrong with politics? That's ironic, Nikki.
Everything that's wrong in this country that we have to clean up. So I do this. I'll take the pain. I'll take whatever it is. I'm a tough girl. I can handle it. Politics is not personal for me. This is about the fact that we can't be okay with our country like this. At what point do we not say, you know what? Maybe we need to go with a new generational leader. These older guys don't want to let go of the power. Trump, as an incumbent, didn't get 43%. He's so upset, he throws a temper tantrum on stage and talks about revenge. He says anybody that supports Nikki Haley is not going to be part of MAGA. If you're running for president, this is a story of addition. You should want everybody. You shouldn't push anybody away. Then the next day, he goes and pushes the Republican Party to say that he's the nominee to get me out. We don't do coronations in this country. 2 states.
Okay, so, you know, just about a minute ago, 60 seconds ago, she was talking about, you know, it's all lies. And then she proceeds to tell a lie. So that motion for the RNC to basically end the primary and make Nikki Haley the presumptive nominee, That was never called by Trump. Yes, pro-Trump delegates in the RNC did that, but we covered it on this channel. You can go back and watch the video. Donald Trump actually publicly went out and said he does not support that, right? He thinks he should win fair and square the old-fashioned way. So this is just not true, and she keeps saying this. She said this last week. She's still saying this week. That's simply not true. Donald Trump came out and publicly opposed that. And, it's funny. She talks about things like generational leadership. We need a new generation when she has the politics of, Dick Cheney, of George Bush. So return to 2003, but because it's a new quote unquote brown woman who's representing it, somehow that's different. And by the way, you want to talk about addition by subtraction. I understand the idea that you want a candidate who's somewhat unifying. You want a candidate who can win over independents, maybe even some of the more disaffected Democrats. But it's one thing to say that. It's another thing to, first of all, completely alienate all the conservatives, because I know conservatives like myself would not support you under basically any circumstances, right? And it's another thing, though, when the majority of your electorate, actually 70%, according to the New Hampshire primary exit polls, are not conservative, right? So it's one thing to say, hey, I win over some independents, I can reach to the other side. It's another thing to say your entire coalition consists of Democrats and non-Republicans voting for you in these elections. Okay, so I find that to be utterly ridiculous. The reason why Nikki Haley is not electable and never will be, yes, maybe she wins over some Democrats, but I would argue the majority of Democrats will still vote ultimately for the Democrat. But when you alienate so much of the Republican Party, when so many conservatives like myself are totally revolted and disgusted by the way you behave, then no, actually, you're not going to be a person who is somehow more electable than Trump, because you still need the votes of conservatives to win an election. You still need turnout, Nikki Haley. You need turnout by conservatives to vote to, win the election. And when you can't even turn out actual conservative voters in a primary and you're relying on Democrats who are going to switch parties, switch lines, that doesn't spell good news for you. Seriously.
2 states have voted. You need 1,215 delegates. He has 32. I have 17. This is far from over.
You didn't qualify for the Nevada ballot, by the way, which is the next state. So you're clearly doing a great job of that, right?
Not giving up. And this is everything that's wrong. And you look, we lost 5 amazing souls, 3 soldiers in Iraq and Syria, and then you've got the 2 Navy SEALs. Mm-hmm. And this is what we're doing?
What do you think the response to that should be?
My husband's deployed right now. We expect America to take care of our men and women when they're overseas. He didn't do something after the first strike. He didn't do something after the second strike. 165 strikes. Dozens of people injured with brain injuries.
Okay, so here she goes again, and sorry to have to pause so much, but as you guys know, they're going to copyright troll us if we don't. She constantly plays this card of, my husband is deployed overseas. My husband's in the military. He's in the Middle East. So, of course, I'm a patriot and all that. But it's like, first of all, if you were sincere about that, then why would you want American troops to be in so many endless, pointless wars for nothing, right? And notice how she never brings that up. Yes, do we need to retaliate against the militia who attacked our troops in Jordan? Okay, fine, fair enough. But no one ever asked the question, why were the troops there to begin with? And we know what Nikki Haley's about. We know that she wants to continue all of these forever wars in the Middle East. And it's like, I really feel bad for her husband, right? I know she always plays this card of, well, my husband's in the military, but let's be real, okay? She's probably happy that he's there. She really is. And when you look at, the allegations that we'll say are part of some sworn affidavits regarding to the way she treats her husband, that is not exactly surprising to me, to say the least. So I'm so tired of hearing this line from her that my husband is deployed in the Middle East, so of course I really care about our troops. If you really cared about our troops and your husband, by the way, then you would stop putting them in useless danger by putting them in these forever wars. But she never does that, right? She never does that.
And you're waiting for people to die to do something? That's not what you do. What we should do is put the sanctions back on immediately. The second thing is go take out the operations where they're sending these drones and missiles from in Iraq and Syria. And then thirdly, go after the military commanders making these decisions. Take out one or two of those IRGC members. That's what will get their attention. You don't have to go bomb Iran.
Okay, but you literally said earlier this week on Fox News, this woman, okay? Brian Kilmeade asked her, okay, so you're saying we should kill some Iranian military leaders, even if they're in their own country? And she said, yes, even if they're in Iran. So that means you are going to, by fact, bomb Iran. So what are you even talking? So that's the thing. Not only is she a warmonger, but her foreign policy doesn't even make sense. It's totally incoherent.
So why are conservatives willing to just turn the Republican Party over to MAGA?
I think that I voted for Trump twice. Mm-hmm. I was proud to serve America in his administration. But if you look at that, the speech after New Hampshire, or even the court cases and all that, he never talks about the American people. He never talks about what we're going to do to get this wasteful spending out of the way and get our economy back on track. And he never talks about securing the border, unless he's saying stop it because I don't want it to happen until the election.
What are you? He never talks about securing the border? Like, dude, how stupid does this woman think we are? Unbelievable. Oh, yeah, Donald Trump, infamous guy who's infamously silent on border security. Because if you know anything about Donald Trump, it's, that issue at the southern border, he never talks about it, right? Oh my gosh.
I mean, he never talks about law and order in this country. He doesn't talk about...
Are you serious? Actually, you never talk about law and order in this country. I've never even heard Nikki Haley talk about crime. Unbelievable,
about these wars. That's what
he never talks about these. That's what she said. If you missed it, he never talks about these wars. He talks. It's one thing to say that Donald Trump is not a soldier on the national debt. Maybe that's a fair criticism. But you mean to tell me he never talks about the border? This is what she said. He never talks about the border. He never talks about the wars. And he never talks about crime. He talks about that literally every single speech. What are you talking about?
And we can't be a country in disarray and a world on fire and go through 4 more years of chaos. We won't survive it. There will be a first female president. It's either going to be Kamala Harris or it's going to be me. And it should send a chill up everyone's spine.
Oh my gosh. I can't. I can't. So you guys got that? That's why you have to vote for Nikki Haley, because there's going to be a female president. You're with her and you're just going to have to accept it. Unbelievable. So far we've got her lying. We've got her playing the woman card. We've got her totally incoherent rambling about her foreign policy. This is off to a great start. This is only the first 10 minutes. I know I cut it up, but we've only been 10 minutes in this interview so far. So
we are looking at a dangerous time in our country. This is not the time to go and put somebody in there and say, oh, we're going to do this because. You do it because we've got to get the right person in there and stop with the labels and stop with the division and stop with who's in which camp and start.
She just played the woman card about 30 seconds ago. Okay. Just want to remind everyone of that.
Focusing on how we're going to get America patriotic again and loving each other again.
Now, based on simple math, people say there is no path for you to win South Carolina. So is it
true
about ego at this point? Because it feels like it could be like a suicide mission.
Yes, it is.
But why are people saying that? What's the proof in that? Mm-hmm. So I moved.
The proof in that is you have no path to victory. That's the proof.
25 points in New Hampshire in 3 weeks. My approval rating in South Carolina is 76%. Mm-hmm. People like what I did as governor.
Yeah, it seems like they like you in South Carolina, but it feels like they love Trump. I was looking at it. It says a majority of the federal, state, and local Republican elected officials endorsed Trump. Does that hurt you?
Do you know why that happened?
From South Carolina?
It does. It very much hurts her feelings. You can imagine she cries about it at night.
You know why that happened? Okay. So they're saying, a reporter said, so how do you feel that, the governor of South Carolina, is standing behind Donald Trump? I said, I'm sorry, you mean the one that I defeated when I became governor? And then they said, well, what do you think about, the political establishment up there? I said, you mean Tim Scott, who I appointed
You
as
appointed him,
senator,
yeah.
but I defeated him in this race? No, I don't want any of them. It's the people I want. I didn't.
No, actually, Nikki, I mean, you can cope about it, but that's not a good look. It really isn't. That, yes, you appointed Tim Scott as the senator because it was an open seat or whatever. And he comes out and says, I'm not for Nikki Haley. I'm for Donald Trump. No, that is actually a bad thing, right? Okay, you can make the argument that, hey, maybe you have beef with some people in your home state, fine. But when you're talking about the person that you appointed and you keep claiming this is my state, I'm from South Carolina, and then your top ally or your top quote unquote accomplishment in the state is against you, yeah, it's delusional to pretend to people like you have any chance of victory. Okay.
I didn't have the political class when I ran as governor. Trump has surrounded himself with a group of the political elite who've done nothing for Americans. They haven't done anything when it comes to our economy, nothing when it comes to education, nothing when it comes to securing our border. And that's who he's going to surround himself with? It's exactly why I'm running.
Did you feel like
who does Nikki Haley surround herself with? One of her top donors who now pulled out is Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, who is a vocal and open Joe Biden supporter. Okay, a Joe Biden supporter who is currently funding the efforts to get Trump taken off the ballot and literally donated you, and you took the money, by the way, to just try to stop you, right? To try to stop Trump, I should say. Okay. Your most notable Republican endorsement came from Chris Sununu, who's the governor of New Hampshire Republican, who's arguably the most liberal Republican in the entire country. Okay. So You want to go down that path? You really want to play that game? Unbelievable. Yeah, guys, everyone knows Nikki Haley, the queen of Boeing and the defense industry. She's totally against the political class. It's so insufferable and revolting. It's just unbelievable.
a slap in the face with Tim Scott? Because you did appoint him. Did you feel like that was a slap in the face? And the fact that he loves Donald Trump and wants to tongue kiss him, did you feel like that was a slap in the face?
People have to deal with their decisions. He's going to have to sleep with that one.
Damn. How did you feel when you saw him say, I love you to Donald Trump in that way?
He's going to have to sleep with that one.
Did he
Not sleep.
This is the same woman who just said politics wasn't personal to her. Okay, yeah, she takes that very personally. Don't lie to yourself.
He didn't even call or text me to tell me that he was going to endorse Donald Trump.
Wow.
He didn't call or text me to tell me he was running for president.
So y'all were on good terms though, right? Y'all.
I have always thought he was a friend. I appointed him, one, because I thought he could do the job and not disappoint South Carolina. But two, I thought it took South Carolina to a new level. That's what I wanted. That's what I always focus.
Okay, so translation there, I don't know what that means, but is it because Tim Scott is black? Is that why you appointed him? That would actually make a lot of sense. We know Nikki Haley loves DEI. We know she loves touting the identity politics all the time. So honestly, that makes sense to me. That's perfectly in character.
But look, he's got to live with that decision. I don't.
How much of it do you take personal, though? I'm talking about from all the politicians in South Carolina.
You can't take it personally. I mean, the reason
Okay. Oh, yeah, really? Nikki Haley doesn't take anything personal. Okay. All right, that's enough of this video, folks. I would love to kind of sit down more and watch it in longer form and all that. But like I said, BET, they just copyright like crazy. So that's about the best we can do. But yeah, with that said, folks, there's Nikki Haley on The Breakfast Club. As you can kind of tell, it was not a super hard interview. And look, like Charlamagne Tha God, yeah, he's a leftist. Oh my gosh, such a hard interview. But I mean, he really doesn't know anything about politics. He talks about it all the time, but he's really not, frankly, even intelligent enough to ask Nikki Haley the tough questions. And that's saying a lot considering Nikki Haley's intelligence. So, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. You would think maybe Charlamagne could at least push back on the foreign policy front, right? Be like, well, what's with you and all these wars and stuff? But doesn't even have the power to do that, I guess. But yeah, we are still waiting for the day when Nikki Haley takes a tough interview from a conservative, okay? Which will never happen. I will actually bet money that will never happen. Just telling you right now. But yeah, with that said, folks, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section down below. What do you think? Why do you think Nikki Haley will do an interview with The Breakfast Club, but not, an actual tough one? Be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and until next time, Alpha Moves Only, God bless, Have a very good day and peace.